fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up there.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Fowler, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today. Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRacing roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.
Good evening, one and all. Thanks for joining us on Simspeed TV as we pick up Ozicar Formula 3 Series. Season 2, short, sharp cup, 3 rounds. We're right in the middle of it here with round 2 at Iowa Speedway. You read that right, F3 cars racing, pack racing on this mid to short size oval, Iowa Speedway. About 3/4, 7/8 of a mile, 1.4 kilometers around here. It's no Daytona, it's no Charlotte, it's a little more compact than that. But still, these cars, wings, slicks, capable of carrying a lot of speed around the banking here with 2 races ahead of us. I'm David Haynes, Jason Fewens with me, Scott Fountain on the production. Jason, still got 14, 15 drivers, and I think the way the pack racing is going to be around here across 2 races, that's plenty. Well, qualifying has wrapped up. And we've got 2 races coming up ahead of us. Same format as we have on the road courses, by the way. 15 minutes for the first race. They start that in the order that they qualified. They score points from that. We take the top 10 from race 1. We invert and then go towards race number 2, which will be longer. It might involve a stop for fuel. This is the point standings after that first round that we had at Okayama. 2 races. Consistency paid off for Robert Cook. He stands at the top with 102 points in front of Trevor Hearn, Cameron Dance, Sean Doyle, Cameron Edwards, Nathan Burney, Tim Harris, Adam Marsh, Ira Felberg. Dennis Hancock is our top 10.
Just looking over the page, we'll scan on to the rest of the field in a second. No, we won't. We'll just get ready to go green very shortly. But yeah, Aussie Cars really rewards consistency, and we saw that last week with a couple of good results from a few drivers. So you'll see them up at the top of the field, and they'll be looking very, very keen to repeat that episode again tonight and go into the third and final round next week with a nice little buffer.
About to grid up for our rolling start. Jason, you were keeping an eye on this super close through qualifying, like you might expect for these high downforce cars on a short oval. Cam Dance has got the pole, 21.4. Quick laps around here, like I said, less than a mile. He's just clear of Dennis Hancock, Sean Doyle, Craig Kerman, Cameron Edwards, and Ira Felberg. Then we've got Scott Harvey, Jeremy Bush, Matthew Harriott, Nathan Verney, Trevor Hearn. The drives for the qualifying time. No qualifying time then for Matt Marsh, Adam Marsh, and your championship leader, Robert Cook, maybe going last to first. Around a circuit like this, honestly, I don't think you're going to have problems making passes.
No, the track's plenty wide enough to go 2x2 through a lot of it, and the only real thing that's potentially going to break up a train of cars here is a little bit of an accident or a spin from someone, and a few drivers get caught out. So should be short, sharp, and a fairly quick pace here tonight, which is exactly what we're looking for with these Formula 3s, and as a generic format, should produce some really good close racing.
No track map for you tonight. Let me explain. They go across the start-finish line. They turn left through 1 and 2. They go down the back straight. Then they turn left through 3 and 4. That brings them back around to the start-finish line. And as you saw from the qualifying times, that all takes them about 21 seconds. I think the shape of this track, it's kind of like a half-scale Auto Club Speedway from out in California. It continues to curve and be banked across the start-finish line there, but it does straighten up and flatten out a little bit on the back straight. 2 formation laps here, being it a short oval.
Yeah, just make sure everybody's in line and gives them a chance to get a little bit of temperature into those tyres, because you can see quite a bit of marble sitting up high on the track too. So if anyone gets pushed out there, that's a pretty quick invitation to kiss the wall. So they'll be trying to keep it nice and tight in those bottom 2 lanes.
So what are we looking for? These drivers run pretty well flat out by themselves, but know that the slipstream is going to be a strong effect. Cam Dance is down low on the inside with the pole position for our 2 wide rolling start. A lot of other F3 cars buzzing immediately behind him. iRacing sedan for the pace car is about to pull in to the pit lane that the drivers aren't going to need in race number 1, hopefully, but they might need later on in race number 2. 15 minutes of racing. Cam Dance drops the throttle. We get going, and big move from one of the Marshes up the back of the field there as they go 3 wide, almost 4 wide early on, picking up speed, picking up that pace.
Yeah, everybody through turns 1 and 2 with a little issue, as you would expect. Cam Dance out in front at the moment, ready to complete lap number 1 already as we make our way around through turn 4. He's got a nice little bit of a buffer, just a couple of car lengths, which is all he needs at the moment as they cross the line.
Jeremy Bush around on the start-finish line. No one makes any contact, but the cold tyres have caught him out. He's had a big wiggle. And Jeremy Bush in the 0-4 drops to the very back of the field. And hey, around a lap like this, might almost lose a lap just from that problem that he had. Had a bit of a wiggle, couldn't catch it, it got away from him. Cam Dance still leads with Dennis Hancock right behind him. Sean Doyle, as colourful as we've ever seen him, trying to run the middle lane, I think, with Kerman a bit down low, and looks like Cameron Edwards running up high.
Yeah, Sean Doyle away from his normal traditional livery that we see week in, week out, which normally consists of a good-looking silver livery, but definitely no trouble picking him out in a pack here tonight. Got the Rainbow Connection thing happening.
So too does Matt Marsh there in purple, pink, whatever you want to call it. He's been a big mover already so far in this one. Started up the back with no qualifying time, up into 9th, joining the back of this battle group here between Scott Harvey and Trevor Hearn as well. So moves can absolutely be made.
Yeah, so Matt Marsh, they're sitting behind Trevor Hearn here at the moment, trying to get a little bit of draft to get pulled up onto the back of this little 2, but sitting pretty in pink there at the moment in P9. Watching a good little battle here for 7 and 8.
Yeah, 2 wide racing. Trevor Hearn holds on to it. Scott Harvey's being forced to try to go around the outside. And early on, that's not seeming like where you can go fast. But as we stick with it, I wouldn't be surprised to see the lanes and the lines change a little bit. You can see the drivers up front ahead of here experimenting as well. Trying to look over under, looking back up high, looking for some clean air on the wing. These laps come around fast and furious. Track feels wide, but short. Dennis Hancock's gotten through to the lead here as well, by the way. Cam Dance back into 3rd, so the lead battle on well and truly as well. Hancock staying down low. Sean Doyle cuts back underneath there, and Dance trying to stay up high, picking and choosing what slipstream he wants to get. He's got options.
Yeah, Dance and Doyle really taking that wide line through the corner, the traditional wide entry, and making that as flowing as they potentially can, while Dennis Hancock's continuing to hold that line down against the yellow on the inside. But seems to be working for him at the moment. But it's a good way to burn out your tyres. Just whether that happens before the 40 laps is up, we'll find out very, very shortly.
Get on board from your pole sitter, now running in third. 40 laps or 15 minutes, whichever one comes first, and I don't have the brain power right now to calculate that one for you.
So we're just under 3 laps per minute, so 3 by 15 is 45, so we should get the 40 laps in.
Ooh, Matt Marsh is boxed in down low at the yellow line and almost had a bit of a wiggly moment. He's not far behind. You can see him running down low behind Trevor Hearn and Scott Harvey. The longer we run, it seems like the field is closing back up on the leaders again.
Yeah, they got themselves out to nearly a second for the top three, with Kerman sitting just behind, but he's pulled in probably a tenth and a half over the last lap and a bit. So these three guys up front deciding to run too wide for most of the track are potentially slowing each other down. So we could expect a nice little battle for the last spot on the podium, race number one.
Marsh down low towards the yellow line. Oh, once you get up in those marbles, that's not going to work out for you very well at all. Scott Harvey immediately losing spots. Here comes Matthew Harriet, Nathan Verney, and maybe Robert Cook. Robert Cook's still back in 12th at the moment. Interesting to see, but a lot could still happen and change and chop around here, particularly as we start to maybe see some tyre wear. Oh, Sean Doyle around. Sean Doyle's in the wall. Two drivers up in the fence. Three even. Yeah, Dennis Hancock goes through to the lead. We have a caution, and that is big damage to some of your real front runners. What happened there? We were watching the mid-pack battles.
Yeah, some panel damage missing. You can see on the front of Dance's car, so that is going to play an effect for the remaining 24 odd laps that we've got in this race. We'll have a look at a virtual racing score replay, get an exact understanding of how that all unfolded.
So you can see Sean Doyle down low, Cam Dance up high. And I think Doyle just gets to the rear end of... Oh, who would it have been there?
Might have been Kerman, because Dance had actually fallen back a few positions.
Yeah, it all happens in front of Cam Dance. It starts with Doyle there. He's got a good run down low, picking up the slipstream first and second. A lot of speed in towards ovals turns 1 and 2, where there's a bit of a check up there. There's just a bit of contact in it. It squeezes everyone. Doyle does seem like he picked up some damage from that too. So actually, 3 cars up in the wall, 4 cars total damaged.
Yeah, we might jump on board with Doyle now and we'll get a really good view of exactly how it all unfolded. As close to driver's view as we're going to get. So a really good run there across the finish line. Sitting in a pretty comfortable position. Just looks like the back steps out. Whether it was actually contact...
I might have that. No, I have that all wrong. Doyle's been tapped from behind. Still under caution at the moment. It should be a pretty quick one around a track like this, but 17 is Kermond. It's Kermond who has the speed and touches the rear of Sean Doyle. Racing close quarters in cars that aren't quite designed for it. We are 8 minutes left, under caution, in race number 1. Dennis Hancock leading from Craig Kermond. Ira Fellberg's up into 3rd, Matt Marsh in 4th. Trevor Hearn, Scott Harvey, Matthew Harriet, Nathan Verney, Robert Cook into the top 10, and Adam Marsh running in 10th. Remember, we get that top 10 invert for the grid of the longer race number 2 that comes up after this one. So I think for Robert Cook, it's pretty important that he's worked his way inside the top 10.
Yeah, so the whether it was a strategy or not starting at the back, it's definitely played in his hands, because he potentially could have been very well involved in that little bit of touch up the front of the field, so he's still got a clean car as far as we're aware, sitting comfortably in ninth. So prime spot to get a really good result in race 2, pending everything goes his way. But, championship leader going into this short little F3 series is obviously playing a little bit safe. It will be interesting though. Just keep an eye on Cam Dance on the restart, just to see how missing that front wing is going to have an effect on his car.
I'm going to imagine it's not going to help it turn. Did he get it fixed? 7 seconds of service is what mine says. Is it literally just 7 seconds to whack a new front wing on these? He's at the back of the field there in 12th. Doyle and Cameron Edwards have come back out into the race, but I think they're 2 and 3 laps down, respectively.
From that view, it looks like he's got it repaired and everything looks relatively straight. So, what have we got here? 6 minutes remaining of this timed race, so we probably won't get our 40 laps in now.
No, but lights are off the pace car. No yellow lights. It goes to pit lane. Dennis Hancock leads them and punches the power down. Everyone's been running around in 6th gear at race pace, but they definitely need to work their way up through the gears as they accelerate back up to speed at Iowa. First race of tonight's proceedings for Ozicar Formula 3. Immediately, Dennis Hancock under a lot of pressure from Craig, Kerman and others. Whoa, and a little bit of the apron there, I think it was, for Trevor Hearn. He's got Nathan Verney and Scott Harvey, and I think it's Matthew Harriott there in the fluoro yellow. Looks good underneath the lights, and you can still see just almost too low, upsetting the car, catching too much of that apron from the driver in front.
Yeah, just deciding to roll out of it there and go to the high side through turns 3 and 4 was Harriott. Just preempting the potential to get squeezed on the inside line. We crossed the line to complete another lap with just over 5 minutes remaining. So not a lot of time for these drivers to sort themselves out. They've really got to try and make a move and make it the best of any advantage that they can this late in the race. Harriet's definitely looking hungry for a pass though, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a unique car. 5 minutes left would mean about 15 laps. So we are going to fall short of the 40 lap target only because of the caution that we had. Harriott still trying to try out this higher lane, trying to chop down low and carry speed off the corner, but not quite working just yet. Side by side up here, Craig Kermond and Matt Marsh. Marsh down low, Kermond up high. Not here at the moment to be working out for Kermond. They're all in behind Ira Felberg in 2nd place. As this goes on, they are not catching Dennis Hancock. Still 7 tenths, 8 tenths, which is a huge amount of time around a track like this in this style of racing that he's got at the lead. So 2nd, 3rd and 4th battling, letting Dennis Hancock run his lines, carry his momentum on the short oval.
Yeah, whatever he's doing at the moment's working for him because Hancock has got that gap out to 8 tenths of a second, like you say. So he just needs to keep focused on what he's doing with 4 minutes left on the clock as they cross the line to complete another lap. All the action's going to settle down behind him. They're battling for 2nd, 3rd and 4th at the moment, all separated by a tenth and a half.
A lot of two-wide action at the back here. Cam Dance easy to spot as he runs around the outside of Jeremy Bush. In a little bit of a lifesaver for Jeremy Bush because it's caught him back up into the field, back up into the pack and into these battles, and it is ferocious right here. And Matthew Harriott unable to get around Scott Harvey, and everyone is joining immediately behind there. Harvey fastidiously running against the yellow line and no one able to carry the speed around the outside of him just yet.
Yeah, we've seen Chastity prove that to be a winning formula in the Skip Barbers when they visited some of the ovals, but the F3s with a lot more downforce and a wing obviously allows those cars to take that higher line and carry a bit more mid-corner speed. So opens up the strategy for a pass. It's just not single file as we've seen with the Skip Barbers in the past. So there's the countdown for just under 3 minutes remaining. We're in for an absolute ripper of a finish.
It's 2 wide, 3 deep here. Harvey and Harriott, Marsh and Dance. Dance looking 3 wide. How on earth is that going to play out? Aggressive move, and I just question if there's any space there. Harriott's losing out here, though. Potentially. And he will. Adam Marsh moves up a spot. Got Jeremy Bush and Robert Cook now also looking 3 wide on Cam Dance, one of his key title rivals. Wow, that low line though, still looking promising from Jeremy Bush in the locked-on sheet as he stays in line, single file here. 6 laps left to go. Dennis Hancock still with a handy lead. Everyone else, it seems, involved in battles like this.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't seem to be working for the high line at the moment. You've seen the likes of both Harriet and Cam Dance sitting up there in the second row for the last 4 or 5 laps and actually not making any real progress. So they're finding it difficult to make it away around the outside on the top line. So it's for those guys, they might just want to try and force their way down to the bottom line and try and secure a spot.
This shot tells you everything. Dennis Hancock is playing them for schmucks because Matt Marsh in second can't leave the yellow line for fear of someone throwing their nose underneath and passing him. Dennis Hancock, though, free to go up the track, cut back down. No one holding second place can follow the slipstream of the leader. Now it's closed down a little bit more. Matt Marsh has more confidence to move up the track to follow Hancock and pick up the draft and pick up the toe, but he wasn't able to do it for a little while. They're all closing in on the leader with 3 laps to go. Just 4.5 kilometers. Hancock has been caught. Can he now follow the yellow line? From a bit further back, Hancock following the yellow line. Matt Marsh right behind him. Ira Felberg in red and white in third. They're side by side there. Trevor Hearn and Nathan Verney. Under a minute left in this one. Who can do it?
Yeah, that yellow line at the moment, like the yellow brick road, everybody's just following it down on the low line. So not really going to be a change of tactic in this last minute. We're down to a couple of laps to go. So it's going to be very important where these guys decide to just work the way there through the field, because the inverted race 2 for the top 10 could really play effect on how things pan out on the opening start of race 2.
Theoretically, should still be 2 more to go here. There's enough time on the clock as they pass the start-finish line, and they're all packing up at the lead. 6-way battle could end in glory or disaster in Ozicar F3. Hancock now changing strategy, holding that yellow line. Marsh follows him. Hearn follows that. Nathan Verney follows that. It's Craig Kerman trying something different, and it's not quite working out for him. Now it says final lap. Now it's the checker coming up. Hancock runs middle of the road, drops down towards the yellow line, and they're too busy battling over second place to catch him. Dennis Hancock's going to take the race win. Get your cameras ready for third place there. Matt Marsh has second. I think Trevor Hearn just holds on from Nathan Verney.
Yeah, as the leaders go across the line, the rest of the field make their way across as well, just to finalise the positions there for race number 1. We knew it was going to be close, but we didn't know just how close. But there was little battles right through the field. So close for the podium, close for the second pack, and then, of course, plenty of action just outside the top 10 for the inverted restart for race number 2.
Is it oval racing if there isn't a little bit of argy-bargy? Just hearing some back and forth on the radio between Craig Kerman and Sean Doyle, who contacted and caused that caution early on in the race. So some tempers there, as you come to expect, but this is the finishing results. Of course, oh so close in oval racing of this style. Dennis Hancock with the win from Matt Marsh, Trevor Hearn, Nathan Verney, Ira Felberg, Craig Kerman, Scott Harvey, Adam Marsh, Jeremy Bush, and Robert Cook. Robert Cook is going to have the pole position for race number 2. And just a couple more cars was.
Yes. So importantly, Cam Dance finishing outside of the top 10. So he is going to start race number 2 where he finished race number 1 out of P11. So we know he's got the speed to run with the guys at the front, but we just saw how difficult it was to get past anyone if they decided to stick on that low line. So we'll keep an eye on him, Matt Harriet out of 12, and Sean Doyle after that contact midway through race number 1, finishing 13, and Cameron Edwards rounding out the field.
Well, exciting, high stakes and pack racing at Iowa Speedway for Aussie Car Formula 3. Race 2 is going to be 30 minutes, twice the time, twice the distance. And if it goes green the whole way, drivers are not going to make it on fuel. They're going to need to make a stop. Green flag stops around a track like this, always something to behold, and it adds some strategy to that second race. That's coming up in just a couple of minutes. We'll take a break here on Simspeed TV. When we come back, More Formula 3 at Iowa Speedway.
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Alla, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today. Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRacing roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.
Thanks for sticking with us. We are just moments away from the second race of this round here of Ozicar Formula 3 Series at Iowa Speedway. We had very interesting, rather tense race number 1 just now. Race number 2 going to be a little bit longer, and I wonder if that changes at all how they race. David Haynes here with Jason Fewens. Jason, I mean, are they going to wear through the tyres potentially more on a longer run in this second race? And what is the likelihood of a fuel stop going to mean?
Yeah, look, to be honest, I don't think we're going to see any pit action that's planned. There might be someone dive into pits that's copped a little bit of damage, but I would imagine over the 80 laps that we're potentially going to see here for race number 2. The time spent in the pit simply isn't going to be worth the potential loss of speed on tyres. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong once before, just once. But I really wouldn't be expecting that to be part of anybody's strategy.
So they're going to grid up now for the 2 formation laps around this 7/8 mile circuit of Iowa Speedway. Just going to host quite a bit of IndyCar action later on this year. So I don't know, consider this your warm-up, maybe? Let's look at that grid because it's the top 10 invert from the results of race number 1, which, with a bit of contact, were quite well shuffled around. Championship leader heading into all of this, Robert Cook, is going to have the pole. That means he's on the front row, on the inside, down low, with Jeremy Bush on his outside. The next row is Adam Marsh and Scott Harvey. And the third row, Craig Kermond and Ira Felberg. Row number 4 is Nathan Verney and Trevor Hearn. Matt Marsh, Dennis Hancock, Cam Zance, Matthew Harriet, Sean Doyle, and Cameron Edwards, our drivers, now ready and rolling for race number 2. There's some nasty marbles up against that wall, and it does seem like with these cars, with their downforce package, with their power, they are very happy to run against the yellow line, against the apron all the way around here.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like the quick way to be in a race number one. So a lot of drivers will obviously take that on board for their strategy for race number two. Be interesting to see just how quickly Dennis Hancock, the Jeremy Bush in P2 decides to find a gap to duck down on that yellow line. Because if he decides to sit high for any more than probably a lap and a bit, he's probably get hung out to dry and won't find an easy way to slide back into position.
Matthew Harriet, a bit further back, highlighter yellow under the lights, is already trying to work some tyre temperature in for himself. That was kind of the Achilles heel to Jeremy Bush in race number one. He lost it with a little spin and a little slide very early on. But then once we got a couple laps in, didn't see any hint of anyone really struggling too hard with the balance of the car. Just maybe struggling to carry speed anywhere more than a lane up the low side of the track. Pace car about to come in. We're about to get racing. It's 30 minutes or 80 laps. If we stay green, it'll be the laps. Interesting jump from Matt Marsh there. Your pole sitter, Robert Cook, still holding control of the field up front, but the drivers on the low line with a pretty good jump. Adam Marsh, Matt Marsh, etc. That was a race start that maybe might need a little bit of review.
Yeah, it looks like Jeremy Bush just got caught a little bit snoozing, or whether he was in the wrong gear when the lights went green. I'm not exactly sure how that all unfolded, but definitely Robert Cook and Adam Marsh getting the jump there to lead them into turns 1 and 2 to complete lap number 1. Cam Dance up incredibly high. I don't know whether he's trying to put more rubber back on his tyres by picking up those marbles or what the theory was there, but he just caught himself out of action.
Shock, horror, surprise. Matt Marsh has a black flag for jumping the start, but we also have, looks like Ira Felberg in the wall. And we get a yellow at very opportune timing for Matt Marsh, but that car is going nowhere for Mr. Ozicar Ira Felberg. Big damage on the right-hand side. What happened to him? Caution, we go to the VRS replay. So he is in 6th gear. Oh, takes some evading action, not expecting Matt Marsh to slow up looking for the pit entry there. And once he's moving up the racetrack, and he ends up finding the wall. So I think there's some drivers around Matt Marsh there who just maybe weren't expecting that he had a black flag, he had a penalty for jumping the start, and maybe with his caution we'll find time to grab that. But is that, I don't know, what's short course etiquette? When are you meant to drop down onto the apron if you're going for pit in?
Yeah, I haven't done enough oval laps to exactly what you should and shouldn't do, but in hindsight, maybe enter that below that yellow line on the back straight. But technically, I don't know whether he did too much wrong there. He was trying to slow down to avoid a pit lane speeding penalty, and Ira just getting caught out there by a little bit of a concertina effect, end up in the wall, and then of course had to throw his own yellow flag to cause a caution.
Well, Barney, waving the yellow in the air, and with pit lane now open, there's a handful of drivers thinking, I think I can make it to the end on fuel if I pit now, and those drivers are Cam Dance, Cameron Edwards, Matthew Harriet. I think they are making a very unique and interesting strategy call right now, just topping off the fuel tank.
So all the drivers at the moment circulating back behind the safety car at the moment, getting ready for a restart. But it looks like we've lost Matt Marsh from the field. He is being told to park it up and sit this one out for the remainder of lap number 2. We're only 5 laps of 80 into this second race here tonight. We're already well and truly under caution. So probably won't be the last one we see before 80 laps is up. For the viewers' sake, hopefully we go green for the next 75, but something tells me we probably won't get there.
Well, if we do, it's going to be interesting on strategy if these drivers pitting right now make it. So a lap later, Nathan Verney and Trevor Hearn opt to pit. So they're going to cycle all the way to the back of the running field. But they're going to have the most fuel of anyone. If we run green from here and we get all of the laps in, they are going to need a little bit of an economy run for this to work. Car was definitely up on the jacks there for Trevor Hearn, by the way, as well. I guess the tyres change pretty quickly on an F3 car compared to 5 lug nuts on a V or Skip Barber. So not much time lost whatsoever. They're immediately to the rear of the field. We're about to get racing. What do those pace car lights look like?
Yeah, I think
At
they would be
least
pretty
one
close
more.
to being off. Yeah, got one more to go. Barney's still holding the yellow flag up, letting the drivers know there's one more circulation of the course at least before the lights go green and he drops that flag. But getting back to Matt, I don't know what more he could have potentially done. Like, he was below the yellow line and the checkup happened because another driver potentially might have been going in the pits behind him. Yeah, it was a bit of a funny one, that. There needs to be a lot clearer clarification exactly as to what's expected of the drivers, because effectively he was serving his black flag like he was instructed to. So we've seen the end result of what happened.
Them lights are still on that pace car, so at least one more here. Robert Cook with that pole position, still holding on to it. What gear's he in? I can imagine those who haven't pitted probably trying to save. He's rolling around in second. Okay. Wouldn't be surprised if there's some others behind him thinking, third or fourth or fifth is the way to go in this.
Yeah, well, Adam March behind him sitting in first, and you go back through the field, Scott Harvey sitting in sixth, saving as much fuel as he potentially can. Second, third, fourth as you go back through the field. So a lot of drivers having a lot of different strategy. Trevor Hearn right at the back of the field in sixth as well. So he's had a late pit stop and saving fuel. So he's thinking about the long game.
Lights did go out on that pace car. So we're going to get racing at the end of this one. Robert Cook's going to have to survive another race start, but this time single file as we restart action. Final race of tonight for Ozicar Formula 3 Series at Iowa Speedway. The drivers out of line there. Cam Edwards and Matthew Harriott towards the rear of the field. Adam Marsh right up underneath the rear gearbox here for Robert Cook, anticipating when he might go on this race start. Still holding second, your race leader, pace setter. There goes the pace car. And waiting, there goes Robert Cook. Green flag, and already a pass happening just behind him there. Scott Harvey getting down the inside of Jeremy Bush and then immediately dropping to the apron. Was that a naughty one?
Yeah, Scott Harvey getting back up to speed now, coming back onto the circuit, but it'll be interesting to see whether he has to fall back in and dropping back down through the gears. So it looks like he may have got a penalty for jumping the restart as well. A couple of procedures catching a few of these drivers out. Oop, Scott Harvey doing his absolute best to hit the yellow buckets and the yellow bins on pit entry.
Cam Dance up high in the marbles, 3 wide as he goes side by side here. I think it's Hancock who's got the lowest line, and Cameron Edwards, both of them closing in on Craig Kermond here. Dance has switched lines from up high to try to go for the middle. Close to some contact there, but the racing is hard and fair so far.
You can just see a lot of those drivers hugging that yellow line down on the inside. Cam Dance trying to make that middle line work again, but effectively falling back down below. Getting a good run out of turn 2 there as he makes his way up to the middle of the track again, but doing his best to try and get that middle lane working.
Yeah, as they're up to pace and running. Down low definitely seems like the place to be. Makes you most difficult to pass. Remembering that Cameron Edwards, Cam Dance, Matthew Harriott, Trevor Hearn and Nathan Verney all took fuel that caution. So I wonder if any of them are now still thinking of just a little bit of fuel saving to get to the end, if that's still necessary for them, or if we had enough time under caution. Cook in the lead. Adam Marsh right behind. Jeremy Bush catching both of them. Sean Doyle is +9 spots in this race so far in 4th place, just trying to hold on to the slipstream of what I think is shaping up to be a top 3 breakaway, depending on how they fight and how they battle this one.
Yeah, we saw the top 3 break away early in race number 1, and it didn't take long before the rest of the field got onto the back of them again. So The little bit of a breakaway can give you a little bit of a breathing opportunity just to recalm yourself and get things back in way. But without too much warning, you'll find yourself with a swarm of cars on the back of you again. So these boys out front need to just take the opportunity while they've got it, because it won't be long before this little group behind claw their way back.
Oh, they're fighting pretty hard in that group behind. The lead still close with our top three. And I think Sean Doyle, yeah, he didn't quite manage to catch Jeremy Bush on that last lap. There's a problem, though, and Scott Harvey is in the wall. Big time. Huge damage to the right-hand side for him. He was battling in that fifth place group. Wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was around that mid-pack, so sitting there just outside the top 10, actually. So still plenty to play for with some points on offer, but very, very close racing between these guys, giving each other a lot of respect and a lot of room, but it doesn't take much of a little mistake to end in catastrophe for one or both drivers.
Looks up high. Looks to cut back. I don't know what I'm meant to be seeing.
No, but either way, Scott Harvey has left the race as well, so he's decided to pull up stumps and call it quits after 20 laps of race number 2. So we are on lap 21. We're slowly ticking him over, so we are a quarter way through this feature race here tonight.
Let's see. Back on the live pictures, Cameron Edwards, Craig Kerman, Cam Dance, all battling 5th, 6th, 7th behind. Nathan Verney and Dennis Hancock going up high around the outside of Matthew Harriott, who you just simply cannot miss under lights at Iowa. 18 minutes or 51 laps still to go in this one. Robert Cook leading, and they've been caught by Sean Doyle. It's 4 cars up front here. Adam Marsh, Jeremy Bush, Sean Doyle in that order at the minute.
It wasn't that long ago that Sean Doyle was that second behind the top 3, so he's done a good job to claw his way back onto the back of them. So draft definitely playing an effect there while the top 3 tripped over themselves somewhat. So what was a little battle for the top 3 podiums now becomes 4, so 1 at this stage is going to miss out.
You're such a dad. Anytime I have lunch with my dad, all I hear is Samsung notification noises.
Yeah, a little bing in the background.
Just default notification noises. Robert Cook, as I said, still leading from Marsh and Bush and Doyle. Battling side by side here over the 3rd and 4th. All them doing 21.6s, 21.7s. Fastest driver last lap. Jance, I think, had a 21.5. I think Harriet's looking for the pit lane for a second time. Interestingly, surprisingly, I don't know quite what's going on there. Your highest running drivers who have stopped is the 2 Cs of Cameron Edwards and Cam Ants in 5th and 6th, just off the back of this group.
Yeah, so they're potentially looking pretty, but I certainly think there may be another yellow before this race is out, so that could give those guys a chance to latch back onto the group in front without potentially burning through their tyres. But fingers crossed, everybody plays nice, and we will go green until the conclusion of this race. But we've seen just how quickly things can unfold for some of these drivers, and once they go into that wall, she's all over Red Rover.
Different lines on show through 3 and 4. See some guys stay high across the start-finish line, and some really try to sort of straight line themselves from the exit of 4 to the entry of 1.
Yeah, Dan's definitely covering more ground on track than anybody else at the moment, going as wide and high as he possibly can without going into those marbles.
Is Dennis Hancock and Trevor Hearn and Nathan Verney 8th, 9th, 10th. So everyone in the top 10 having themselves some fun at the moment, because you've got 3 for the lead, 3 for the next group, 4 for the next group, and then 3 here. So battles all round for all.
Yes, top 10 at the moment, all on the lead lap. So High Vis Harriet in the bright yellow there, the only car still circulating 1 lap down at the moment. But he'll be hoping and praying for a yellow flag to get back on that lead lap potentially. But at the moment, he's got a lot of work to do before anything falls his way. As we see, it might have been Sean Doyle dive into the pits. Kermond go.
Yeah, green flag stop for Craig Kermond here. Running down the lane in second with the limiter on. Curves around a little bit, looking for his crew. Goes through Ira Felberg's car, I think it is there. And for Craig Kermond, this looks like just a splash of fuel, doesn't it?
Yeah, 6.6 seconds in the box. He comes out and you just see Harriet flying by in the foreground. That potentially puts Kermond a lap down with Harriet. But if a lot of these guys up the front who didn't make that pit stop under that first initial yellow, they may find themselves in fuel trouble shortly. So you might get his lap back yet.
Well, he's immediately 1 lap down, and he's actually at risk of being 2 down, such as, you know, the lap pace around here. Edwards and Dance, 2 drivers who did stop. And they might as well be glued together at the moment, running around 5th and 6th. The top 4 in front of them who haven't stopped yet. Doyle looking around the outside, might actually make a move there on 3rd place. And then just runs out of steam a little bit on the exit. Nose to nose as they cross the line, but pushed down low as the slipstream, but Doyle not to be counted out. Up high, moves himself into 3rd. Might be able to then slot in line from Cook. Looking for another outside manoeuvre here on Adam Marsh. Things getting a little more aggressive.
Yeah, Doyle definitely got a good run at the moment, so he looks like he's got clear of Jeremy Bush there in the background and challenging for a second, but having to take the high line around the outside. Looks like he's at least pulled even, so it's working for him at the moment. That's the first time I've seen someone in this race actually make that high line work relatively well.
He's been helped a little bit by the lines that Robert Cook has taken Slipstream and Sean Doyle up into 2nd, maybe. Edwards and Dance. The dual overhead cams.
And then the battle behind them for 7, 8 and 9 at the moment. The 3 cars on the screen as we see them. They cross the line to complete lap 38. So they're on lap 39 now, nearly at the halfway point. So of course, after that initial yellow, we just might go to uncertain.
I feel like we are going to get... No, we're going to go time certain, for sure. Even if it stayed green all the way to the end. At the pace that they're doing. This is Bush in 4th. Trying to steal Sean Doyle's lines, run a little higher. Not getting him anywhere just yet. You can almost use the shift lights as an analog for the kind of speed they're able to carry. Picks it up on the straights in the toe, almost to the rev limiter, and then it just scrubs off through the turns by 3 or 4 red LEDs.
Yeah, this just might be a smart strategy by Bush by staying a little bit higher and trying to keep a little bit of temperature out of those tyres, because if he has more grip and more confidence in what the car's going to do in these dying laps, just might be able to challenge for that for a good podium position and walk away with a good handful of points.
Closing a little bit almost here. Dennis Hancock, who leads Hearn and Verney as you see them, almost picking up the toe off Edwards and Dance ahead as they run different lines and run side by side. You've only got 3 seconds now covering your top 9. 4 drivers amongst that who did top off their fuel early on in this race. Is there maybe an element of fuel saving that sees your top 4 have to drop back towards those who took a splash?
Yeah, well, there's definitely a potential to might be a little bit of a strategy there, and these guys really potentially could have been hoping for another yellow, but at this stage we are over halfway through race number 2, the feature race here tonight, and they are yet to get that second yellow, so they might just be doing a little bit of lifting, which is of course allowing the group behind of Cameron and Cameron to get a sniff, draw themselves up onto the back of the top 4, and of course with them that brings 7, 8 and 9, or 8, 9 and 10 in the group as well.
Well, Robert Cook's been leading the way ever since the restart, basically. He'd had his throttle mashed to the floor. No savings for him, but Doyle and Bush and Marsh behind that could be doing something strategy-wise. This is Doyle in second. He used that high line to good effect to get around into this second place. And then hasn't really looked like he's going to make any moves since arriving in this position.
Yeah, of course he'll have his mirrors full of Adam Marsh because he is right on the back of Sean Doyle. They're separated by less than 1/10 of a second. So definitely in the slipstream, as you can see the pictures on your screen at the moment. So getting plenty of fuel saving and plenty of drafts there, both Adam Marsh and Jeremy Bush. So those guys out there looking pretty good for a good spot come checkered flag.
Jeremy Bush sniffing around up high. I've seen Adam Marsh rolling out of that throttle. So he's saving either just to stay in line on accident or on purpose. Trying to get a little bit of that. They are being caught. The whole lead lap group concertinaing up the longer we run here at Iowa. As this green run goes, the closer they all get towards that leader, Robert Cook.
Yeah, Cameron and Cameron there sitting in 5th and 6th respectively, less than a second behind the group in front, so they'll be getting a draft. And of course the group there behind Dance of Hancock, Vern and Herney also separated by less than 8/10 of a second, so they're definitely in draft mode as well.
All of them together on the back straight. Adam Marsh looking for a move around the outside of Sean Doyle now. Side by side for second. It all depends who Robert Cook picks. Cook can play kingmaker here. He can give the draft to one or the other, change lanes, move up high to help Marshall Doyle however he sees fit. But in the end decides to stay low against the apron, and Doyle will stay in second. This is the most aggressive we've seen Dance get. Up high around the outside, does not make that spot stick. The closer they get to the top 4 though, the more the opportunity is to pick up an errant slipstream a lane or 2 up high, and they're still got to be careful being caught by those behind.
Yeah, we're inside 5 minutes to go now, I think, for the race, so a lot of these drivers need to start positioning themselves if they are thinking about making a move or a challenge, because potentially we've seen if you pull out of your slipstream from hanging along that yellow line down on the inside, it could take 2 or 3 laps to get a bit of momentum going. As you see Cam Dance just pull up a little bit higher there, so he might be thinking along those lines, get the draft down straight and pull up a little bit higher through in the mid-corner to try and carry some mid-corner speed.
Just 1.7 seconds for your top 9 cars now. Top 4 got caught by the next group. They're all together now with Edwards and Dance in the fray. They are going to have Hancock and Hearn and Verney with them very, very shortly. Tense times for your top 3, I think. Cook just staying glued and pinned to that yellow line. Now if not, he's up high. And Sean Doyle looks down the inside, so too wide for the lead of the race. Cook made a strategic error and given it away as he got a low fuel light going on. But for the first time, Sean Doyle has his nose in front as the lead of the race with 6 minutes left. 2 lanes in form now. Oh, Cook
Yeah,
now all up in the nasty stuff, losing out big from the lead of the race. He's now back in a 6th, soon to be 7th. That's not worked out for him at all. 3 wide, he is up there, marooned and stranded. Cam Dance gets a whopping slide, gets into the wall, and that is a big hit.
Yeah, it was always going to be risky there with a lot of these drivers running too wide, but I did think out of all of them, I thought Cam Dance was probably playing a little bit smart, just staying high, because if there was contact in that group down low, he was potentially going to go whizzing around the outside before they got washed up into the wall. But we'll jump on board now and see it from the driver's point of view. You can see just a lot of car movement in front, so not a lot of drivers particularly committed, and some contact from the side, I think it was there, that sent him off into the concrete wall.
Yeah, it would have been Jeremy Bush, so I don't know how Bush has ended up right where he was. We stay green as Dance drove it down off to the apron. This is live pictures right now with Doyle leading, Adam Marsh around the outside of him, and Cameron Edwards, we know, took a splash of fuel. He's sitting in 3rd. It's going to be 2nd if he keeps following that low line around. Any fuel concerns for the guys in front? And it's going to play well for him. Robert Cook on pit lane, interestingly. Locked on side by side there as Nathan Verney catches his teammate in Jeremy Bush.
So as they sit on the track as the clock counts down, Sean Doyle out front. Cameron Edwards, after making that early pit stop, finds himself in P2. Adam Marsh, P3, all separated by just over 1/10 of a second. So the top 3 at the moment looking pretty comfortable as they complete yet another lap. A little bit of a gap back to 4, 5, 6 and 7. Just under 3/10 they're separating that little group.
Well, these are your leaders. Sean Doyle. Cameron Edwards glued to him, looks upper lane, looks to go round the outside to challenge for the lead. Is that a masterstroke or a failure tactically? Because now Adam Marsh looks underneath him to follow the leader around on the shortest line.
Well, problematic for the leaders is I think it might be Cam Dance back out on track, just not far up the road. So if you've pulled out of that bottom line and lost your position, you might find yourself just pushed up wide of that traffic. Could almost be under a minute now before we see the white flag come out for the final lap.
Yeah, I think they've still got 3 minutes on this one. Marsh staying low. That was the line that appears to have succeeded, and now Cameron Edwards drops back down and then immediately tries to pop back up. Side by side immediately behind. It's Jeremy Bush up high, and he's got Nathan Verney working behind him. Maybe team strategy is the way to go. You can pile and work, I think, if someone else is going to tow you around there to help you out. So maybe they can make something happen late on here.
So Sean Doyle leading this one from starting P13 in race number 2 after contacting race number 1. So he'll be very happy with how race 2 is playing out at the moment. I don't believe it at that, because I don't want to put the commentator's Mickey on him. It's late in the race, but really good drive so far. Also, Cameron Edwards up from 14 where he started this race, currently sit P3.
Just got to sit tight and see how this one plays out. 5 or 6 laps left. Doyle controlling it at the moment. Just staying down low. Going up a lane, Cameron Edwards saw him go from challenging to the lead to back into 4th, and I think they're just going to get underneath him there as well as they work their way round 1 and 2. It's not played out very well for him at all. Now Marsh goes up a lane and has Dennis Hancock looking underneath him, trying to follow Sean Doyle around.
And then Jeremy Bush sitting almost going 3 wide there in the background. Just everybody going back to single file there. Sorry, 2 lanes there at the moment. But
Contact!
contact.
Cameron Edwards into the wall. Nathan Verney in the fence too. That car is going nowhere for Cameron Edwards. And it all kind of starts with a squeeze between seconds and third. They're going to run this one out green to the end. There's a minute. There's 3 more laps.
So we're still on the virtual school racing or replay at the moment. Looks like everything is under control here. Just whether some of these tyres are getting a little bit of wear in them or whether it was driver error. Not exactly sure how that all planned out, but in the result, we went 2 more cars out of the race and find themselves in the pits.
So you now just got top 5 cars covered by 0.3 of a second. Sean Doyle up front, just staying glued to the yellow line. Adam Marsh right in behind him, looking for a way to go round. Jeremy Bush and Trevor Hearn side by side. It's Bush up high, trying to carry some speed. They'll take the white flag right now. Final lap. Can anyone get around Sean Doyle? Adam Marsh, probably best placed, knows he has to do something, knows he can't just sit behind, looking up high to follow the second lane, runs out of speed, tries to cut back underneath, but the checkered flag is waiting, and Sean Doyle will take it from Marsh. From Hearn, I think, close to a photo finish with Jeremy Bush. Here's Harriet looking underneath Cook. Nothing happening there.
No, so Harriet and Cook, they're finishing a lap down. So checkered flag dropped, but all the action was at the front as you'd expect in those dying laps there. 7 quickly became 5, and at the end of the day, the top 3 are celebrated with a podium spot, separated by, actually top 4 separated by 2.23 of a second. So very, very close racing there from a lot of these drivers tonight, managing to keep their cool, keep their nerve, and bringing their car home in one piece.
Fireworks in the car park across from the backstretch right now for Sean Doyle. Just ahead of Adam Marsh, Trevor Hearn, Jeremy Bush, and Dennis Hancock was the leading group. Robert Cook in 6th off the lead lap with Matthew Harriet and Craig Kerman. Then Verney, Cameron Edwards, Cameron Dance, Scott Harvey, Ira Felberg, and Matt Marsh.
So, oval racing at its best tonight here, brought to you on Simspeed TV with the conjunction with Ozicar F3 Series. That is 2 rounds of season number 2 here for this short little season from Iowa Speedway. We are back again next week for the 3rd and final round before we wrap up Formula 3 and we get back into Ozicar Skip Barber, which is what we are normally renowned for here on a Thursday night.
Well, the drivers completed their cool-down laps. They've come to join us now. We've got our podium from the feature race right now. 3rd place, Trevor Hearn. Bit of a photo finish between yourself there and Jeremy Bush. It looked just tough to get around anyone. Super dominant low line today.
Yeah, it was really tough. I haven't done much oval racing before, so I didn't really have much of an idea of how to go about pack racing coming into this. But yeah, low line was just really strong, and unless you were sort of half a second behind the car in front, sort of the draft was a lot weaker than what you sort of thought it would be.
Now, a bit of a mixed bag on the strategy there. You pitted early with the caution, maybe didn't end up necessarily needing that fuel. Did you have any sense that some of those around you on the no stop might have been needing to save towards the end at all?
In a couple of the practice sessions, we done the fuel numbers and we sort of thought it would be about 10 laps short at the end, but that was mainly solo racing. So in the pack, sort of in the draft, it turns out you didn't need it. I was just sort of hoping that it would sort of give me a bit of an advantage towards the end if everyone did have to pit. But if anything, it was a bit of a hindrance because it took the whole race to catch back up to the pack again, sort of being at the end and just being so hard to overtake. I was just lucky I could just follow Dennis around in the bottom line, and eventually with a couple of accidents we caught back up again.
Well, F3 on the Speedway, an interesting experiment. Should it have been more open like Daytona, or maybe a little shorter like USA International?
I'm leaning towards one of the bigger ovals and maybe a bit of a lower downforce setup as well. Yeah, he just sort of got stuck in a pack and it was a bit hard to do anything.
Well, congratulations on that podium there. 2/3 of the way through this championship. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday night, hopefully.
Yeah, thanks for that, everyone. Keen for next Thursday. Bring it on.
So third place getter tonight. Sorry. Trevor Hearn there tonight. So great result for Trevor, considering he started so far back, I think, in race number 1. So doing a brilliant job to find himself on the podium come the conclusion of the feature race. But on saying that, we will bring a second place getter up onto the podium into the commentary box now. Adam Marsh, amazing effort tonight, mate. Really good result there, and challenging for the lead in those dying laps. Just wasn't quite able to find a way around the high side.
Hey guys.
G'day, how are you? So how did everything unfold for you there in those dying laps, Adam? You're trying to find a way around the outside there to take away the win, but literally just once you stepped away from that yellow line down low, it was hard to make that move stick.
Yeah, it's pretty hard work on the outside. I think I got one pass done the whole race, but other than that, the plan was just stay low, and no one can really get around you if you don't lose concentration. I think that's how Sean got around me. I had a bit of a slip at one point in the race, and he was just able to get a little run on me. But other than that, it was a pretty good race.
Yeah, definitely from our perspective, it made it easier to call because there was action aplenty, whether it was the guys up the front or yourself and who were you battling with towards the end there?
I think it was Jeremy.
Yeah, it looked like Jeremy Bush there, but there was action right through to the back 10, and then all of a sudden they were split up there for a little bit, and what was a 3 or 4 way battle for the lead simply became a 9-way battle in those last 10 or so laps.
Yeah, I think everyone was in fuel-saving mode just to get across the line, and I think it allowed a few cars to catch back up, which made for some good racing.
Did the hot tyres hold up all right over that 70 or 68 laps that we held?
For me, they did. I sort of was monitoring my understeer through the turns, but I was lifting pretty much the whole race. So it'd be interesting to hear from Sean, who was out in front, how he went with it. And
of course, very risky there running the low line in formation, because we saw quite a few times where cars did come in contact, and there were some innocent parties there caught up in some of the melees. But obviously doing a great job to get to the checkered flag at the end when it counted. So a well-deserved podium, and great to see a Marsh up there on the podium tonight. Yeah, thanks, guys. That was a great race. So second place getter tonight, Adam Marsh. They're very happy with his result, and taking a bucket load of points into the final round next week. And over with Dave, we will have our race winner as we drag him to the podium and speak to him as he joins the winner's circle.
Yeah, congratulations. Holding on to that one from 13th on the grid, Sean.
Yeah, that was a good effort, that one. I enjoyed that race. Unfortunately for the first race, I got a little bit of a touch and taken out, but it happens on the ovals.
You can have some burnt-in yellow pixels on the left-hand side of your monitor from hugging that apron.
Oh, it's the line that I find that works the best. If you're down there, no one can really overtake you. And I didn't have to pit, so my strategy worked well.
Yeah, and the race is over now. You can spill how many more laps before you might have been in trouble?
I think I had probably 2 laps in, but I was not using all acceleration through the whole race. Even out in the lead, I backed down my acceleration a bit.
Interesting. Your thoughts on this F3 on the ovals experiment?
I'd rather the ovals around a nice circuit. The ovals are a bit, yeah. But F3s, I love the F3s at the moment.
And race 2, obviously, very, very kind to you. Race 1, not so much. Give us your thoughts on sort of the event as a whole.
Oh, the event as a whole, I love it. It's, great format. I love the F3s, ovals. Not the best, but anything with the F3s and, Aussie cars, great work. Love it all.
Well, there's one round left in this one. You showed great promise and pace on the road courses in round 1 at Okayama. You gonna bring it home strong?
I'm going to give it my best. Give it my best. So hopefully a good finish. I'll be proud.
Any words for the mum?
Mum, she's always watching and great support.
Absolutely. To you and us at SimSpeed too, it feels like. So
she loves you guys, mate. She loves the whole environment. She really does.
Warms my heart. Congratulations on that win, holding on with a lot of pressure right at the end there, Sean.
Thank you very much, guys.
So there's our 3 podium getters tonight here from Iowa Speedway. Some happy campers as we wrap up round number 2, and of course some cars being pushed back into the virtual trailer with wings, wheels missing, and a little bit of disappointment. But I'm no doubt a lot of these drivers will be back next week for round 3, bounce back and see if they can finish this little season with a positive note. And looking forward to next week, Dave.
Yeah, precisely. It's a short, sharp little championship. As Robert Cook salvaged enough, I think, all in play for the final round of Ozicar Formula 3 Series next Thursday here on Simspeed TV. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm David Haynes. It's been Jason Fewens with me. It's been Scott Fountain, Fonty on the production. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday. That's all from Iowa. That's all from us. Good night.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside. Both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRacing roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.